and welcome back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers and those who may not quite be physically ready to tackle the Appalachian Trail. I'm your host, Donna Patrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning, Roy.
So in this podcast, we provide you with information, tips, and tricks on how to get into hiking here in the Blue Ridge area. We will cover some of the hundreds of trails in the various parks, forests, and areas of the region, and hopefully entertain you a little bit along the way. We're two middle-aged, perhaps not in the very best shape hikers.
Yeah, definitely not in the best shape, for sure.
But we absolutely love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. In this week's episode, Donna, man, this is going to be a good one. We discuss probably the most amazing trail that we've done to date.
I agree.
The Triple Falls, High Falls, and Hooker Falls Trail Group in DuPont State Forest, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also have a more serious fun fact segment about Bedford, Virginia, the city that lost the most U.S. service members per capita during the D-Day invasion of Normandy, which we just had the 80-year anniversary this past weekend.
Correct.
And we review our great hiking water shoes, the Bauer Laketrail Water Sandal.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say, Donna? Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So here's this week's trail by the numbers. Now, this is a 3.96-mile loop with several spurs. So in order to really understand the trail route this week, I encourage you to go on our website, casualclimbers.podbean.com, look at the trail photos section, episode 20, and you will see the trail map.
Ooh, is this
there.
episode 20?
Episode 20.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll see the trail map there. So there's the Triple Falls Trail, which is just out and back, but it connects to the High Falls Loop, which is an actual loop. And then when you come back to the parking area, there's another spur that goes off the parking area for Hooker Falls.
Right.
Trails. I had a hard time getting that out.
Yeah.
The total time it took us was 3 hours and 13 minutes. But Donna, only an hour and 30 minutes of that was actual moving time.
I believe that.
Yeah, we're going to get into why. Not a particularly difficult trail overall. The lowest point was 2,175 feet, and the highest point was 2,500 feet.
Yes.
So that's about 325.
There were some grades that were pretty steep, but I felt like, at least at those points, I don't remember too many rocks or roots or anything, and the path was really wide.
The path is wide. It's on all the spurs and the loop in the trails. It's wide, and it's mostly gravel and dirt.
Or dirt, yeah.
We saw a guy with a hover-round that was going down the trail. So
that was pretty amazing.
It's fairly friendly, but the grades are pretty steep in some parts. 18 degrees.
But that doesn't go on for a long time, those grades.
No,
I don't feel
half
like
a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and also you can horseback ride on this trail. Horses are allowed. We didn't see any horses. On our way back, we saw one horse poop, but
there was horse poop in several spots.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. I only saw it once.
Several spots. There is a couple spots. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you want to get to really good views of the falls in both locations, there are stairs. One set of stairs is actually 112 stairs to get down to the looking area, the viewing area of Triple Falls.
Now, that's not 112 stairs all in one jaunt. There are landings. There are like 10 or 15 stairs here and then a landing, and you can kind of pause and take a break. There's one part of it where you can sit on a bench. There's an actual bench there, which I love. You know how I love benches.
Yep.
That bench is pretty close to the bottom, so I feel like that bench might be maybe is in the wrong place, because it's so much easier for me to go down than to go back up. I'd rather, if a bench is going to be 3/4 of a way through 100 stairs, I'd rather it be toward the top.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't blame you. So let's start at the beginning of the whole thing, right?
Okay.
So to find this area, it's kind of hard to find on the map. So I'm going to tell you how to do it in any map app. Look for Hooker Falls Access Area. And then there's 2 parking areas there and an overflow actually a little down the road that you could walk to.
Which I imagine is probably needed on the weekends in the summer because, and we'll get into it. It's just so...
Yeah, we'll tell you why. But it was busy on Friday when we went. So
Yeah.
this is during the week. Now it is in the summer, so kids are out of school and whatnot. But
It's still
the
a Friday.
parking lot filled up
Yeah.
by the time we got done
To
at
the
about
point-
noon.
Right. To the point where when I went to go change in the bathroom, you pulled the vehicle out of the parking space because somebody was waiting like a good 20 minutes for our parking spot.
This is not a small parking area.
No.
There's probably 30 spots in the lower parking area and then another 30 or 40 in the upper parking area. And when we left, they were all full.
Right. And you and I usually like trails that are less well known, fewer people, all of that kind of stuff. But this one, I'll take it. I understand
This
why
one
they're
broke every single rule of what we like, except for the water. It's simply amazing.
Yeah.
So I promise you we're going to get into that. I know we keep teasing it, but we want to start at the beginning first. So the parking area, there is a large and very well cared for bathroom area.
Yes.
There's men's and women's bathrooms.
Stalls, real running water.
Paper towels, I think.
Plenty
were in
of
there.
stalls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the men's bathroom had 3 stalls and 3 urinals. So there's plenty of area. And there's picnic tables there, along with picnic tables and pavilions at several points of the trail and loop.
I didn't count how many stalls were in the women's bathroom. Was that on my to-do list? I don't
think so.
Okay.
No. Enough, right?
I want to say there were more than 6, maybe 8 stalls for women.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah. I was surprised, honestly, at how well appointed this is, given the fact that DuPont State Forest is kind of out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once you get on the trail, the first thing you'll see is there is a bridge crossing the Little River. Now, I'm saying Little River, not as in little. The name of the river is Little River.
Right. It's not a little river.
No,
it's a misnomer.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
it's not huge, but it's probably where the bridge crosses it, probably 30 feet wide.
Yeah.
The river. Yeah.
I could see tubing, or I don't know about kayaking. I'm not sure how deep it is, but
at that area, it's probably not too deep, but we saw parts where you could full get in the water.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we saw a couple, and the guy was up to his chest in the water. So, yeah, it's a very popular place for people. There is fishing there. So we did see a couple fly fishermen fishing in the water. So that's the first thing you see is this bridge crossing this beautiful river. And the river's moving. It is moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very fast flowing river.
Reminiscent of Jones Gap for me.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. It moves that fast, I think. Yeah. And shortly after that, that's when you start to really appreciate and I don't use this term lightly, the majesty of this trail. Shortly after the bridge, there is a little section that goes off to the left that takes you to the Triple Falls viewing area. Triple Falls, if you don't know what it is, and if you look on our trail photos, we took pictures of it. It's 3 falls in very quick succession.
3 distinct falls.
3 distinct waterfalls that are in very quick succession. You have the upper one, and in this viewing area, you can see all 3.
Yes.
You can see the top one, the middle one, and the lower one. And it's breathtaking.
Yes.
How beautiful it is. Just breathtaking. What was the thing that you noticed most about the Triple Falls?
So I want to say that first viewing area, at that point, I was thinking, why bother going on? It can't get prettier from here. There's no way that it gets better. And then it did.
And then it does. Yeah. Yeah. So the first stop of the Triple Falls viewing area, you get a view from pretty high up.
Yes.
Pretty high up.
But it's a complete view.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. You kind of turn a corner and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yes. Now there was a big smooth rock and I sat down on it for a bit because you are walking up a grade.
Yeah.
And I saw that big rock and I was like, oh, a bench, a Donna bench.
It is.
And so I sat down, but you walked on because you can see the little fence to see, the viewing area. And I saw
Mhm.
that people were standing there. A couple of people were standing there looking at it, taking pictures and stuff. So I knew there was something to see, but I still just took a minute, took a break, got my drink out of my bag, took a sip, and you went over there and then you were like, Donna, you have to come see this. And I was like, okay.
It's breathtaking. It's one of those things where you really do just stand there and appreciate how beautiful and powerful nature is. There's lots of signs that say, do not get in the water above a waterfall. And that's because it'll rip you down.
Right. And also, you're not supposed to get in the water under the Triple Falls waterfalls.
They have it blocked off with fences and with ropes down at the other viewing area. So we'll get to that now. There is another viewing area of Triple Falls. If you keep going up on the trail, that's where the 112 steps are. You go down, as Donna said, it kind of winds. It goes down 10, 15 steps, and then there's a little landing, and it turns to the left, and there's 10, 15 steps, and then it turns to the right. But once you get all the way down, it kind of puts you out onto the rocks. But it's a big, wide, flat rock that's easy to traverse.
I can see why they have it roped off because it looks
because you
like
could walk straight into the water.
Sure, but that's just there've been deaths there. I think that's why.
What the signs say.
Yeah.
And so where this puts you off is right above the bottom fall and before the middle and the upper falls. So you get a very up close personal view of these waterfalls.
Mhm.
Very up close and personal. And it's even more beautiful than the upper view.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it. The spray is getting on you, and it's just it's incredible.
Yes. Being near a waterfall, there's an energy.
I agree. Yeah, there is an energy. It does energize you. It's one of those things where, like, these falls are not small either.
No.
Each of these falls in Triple Falls is probably 50 to 100 feet, depending on which one. The upper falls, I think, is the tallest one. These are significant falls in a large volume of water going over these things.
Yes, fast moving water.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so a lot of people were just there taking it in,
Mhm.
right? And so we sat there for 10 minutes, just enjoying that. And again, I thought, oh, wow, if nothing else happens on this trail, this is my new favorite trail.
Yes.
And then you keep going on the trail, you go back up the steps, head up, and then you get to the junction of the High Falls Loop.
Mm-hmm.
And so the High Falls Loop, my recommendation is to go counterclockwise. Or clockwise, clockwise. So go to the left, which is the way we went yesterday.
Okay.
You go to the left, and maybe another half mile, probably not even that much, is another spur that goes to the left that takes you down to the river's edge.
Yes.
And from there, you can get a view of the High Falls. But that's not the best view of High Falls.
Mm-hmm.
So how did we get there?
So that's not the best view of High Falls, but if you want to get the best view of High Falls, you have to traverse around. It very much felt like we got off trail to get.
It absolutely is off trail. We were basically, what you do, listeners, is walk on rocks.
Big boulder
rocks along the river bank. And it goes around a corner,
mm-hmm.
and then you get the spectacular view.
Yes. So if you're in a hover round or you have mobility issues, that you're not going to be able. Yeah. Because there's points where the ground is uneven and you are hanging onto a tree to kind of get around boulders and rocks and stuff.
And the footing's not great.
Yeah.
You're walking on wet rocks in a couple places.
Yes. So you're kind of watching to see, oh my goodness. I saw some people in Crocs, some people in slick bottom tennis shoes.
Yeah. And they were making it.
They were making it.
I wouldn't do it just because I'm gun shy after getting my arm torn.
And that was with hiking shoes.
Yeah.
So slippery rocks near waterfalls, near water in general are just, you just have to be so far beyond careful.
Yeah. They always give me pause.
Mm-hmm, the older you get, the more the ground hits back when you hit the ground.
Yeah. No kidding. But I will say this, it was very popular.
Yeah.
There were people coming in and out Like there were several spots
With
where we had
kids,
to
with
wait.
little kids.
With little kids.
Yeah.
There were several spots where we had to wait for people to finish crossing before we could move forward.
Right.
There's not a lot of room. There's room for one person to go at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, and when you do get all the way around and you can actually see now you can go further than what we did.
You
and
can actually get into the water right under the waterfall.
Now, let me say, you can. Should you?
I wouldn't.
I
wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would
It's
definitely
recommended-
go as far as we did because that view puts you smack dab in front of the waterfall.
Yeah,
and
High
you can see
Falls,
it.
at the bottom of High Falls.
Yeah.
Yes. But there were people in the water up to their chest.
Yeah, right under.
Right under. And I don't know. It's recommended by the state park that you don't do that. Is it a state park?
It's a state forest.
State forest. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Now, I did sit on the edge there where we stopped and put my feet in.
Yes.
But, I felt completely safe. There was no
nothing pulling
sketchy parts or no.
Yeah.
And it was really, really nice. And you didn't do that.
I didn't because I knew what was coming.
Yeah. And we'll get there here in a few minutes. So you can sit there for, gosh, like I said, there was this young couple who was in the water and it looks like they had been there for a while and probably were going to be there for a while longer, just playing in the water.
He was up to his chest. She was sitting on a rock dangling her feet in the water because the water is cold.
It's cold.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very, very cold. 50 degrees.
Yeah.
It's cold. So once you take that in, and you can spend as much time as you want there, you continue along the loop. And after that spur that takes you down, there's a viewing area that's on the trail of a high point view of High Falls. So you can see the whole falls again from a different angle. At the bottom, you're looking kind of up at it. And at this point, you're looking down at it. And again, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Every view is amazing on this. So we are a mile in to this trail, and we had already seen 4 spectacular waterfalls. A mile in.
Yeah.
By far favorite trail. And we haven't even gotten to one of the best parts of it. So you keep going, and then it makes a hard right turn to continue the loop. And the backside, Donna, the backside of this trail feels like a totally different trail.
Yeah, you start hiking away from the water and you get into this beautiful forest.
Green, deep green forest.
Yeah.
And we saw the horse apples so, on the road. Yeah. And this portion, I don't think we ran into anybody on this section. So I think this is a very much less traveled part.
So, yes. So I think probably some people come in, kind of do it an in and back out.
I think so.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
You pass by there's a parking area for, what is that part?
High Falls.
Okay.
Parking
High Falls
area.
Park.
And then there's a visitor center, which we're going to have to go to.
Right.
And there's also another thing that we didn't see. There's a covered bridge trail.
Okay. Yeah.
That's 0.2 miles off the High Falls Loop.
This is definitely something that we're going to go visit again.
Many times over.
Yes.
This is going to become one of those trails that we go to and we take every single visitor that comes to visit us.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, we have our favorite ones in the northern part of South Carolina, but this is not that much further than northern South Carolina.
It took us 50 minutes from Greenville to get there. 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's nothing. And the drive is, of course, gorgeous.
Right?
So, yeah, this one can't be beat on it. If the most boring part of your trail is a lush green forest where you look, and there were several spots where you could see mountain vistas.
Right. There's this one place where you can see a mountain vista pretty clearly because there's a pipeline going through. Was that an oil pipeline? I took
don't know
some
what
pictures.
kind of pipeline. It could be natural gas. Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't say
something,
but
they had, kind of cleared up the mountain on our right and cleared down the mountain on our left. But if you looked down the mountain, you could also see the vista of mountains off in the distance because it had been cleared. So, yeah.
It's amazing. It's such an amazing place.
It's not like a pipeline that you saw the pipe. The pipe was buried.
It's buried. Yeah.
But
and then, I'm sorry, Salem's pawing at my foot right now.
Yeah.
Apologize, listener, if I'm a little distracted.
Our cat
I'm getting
is
attacked by a cat.
He's not happy that we're not paying attention to him right now.
Apparently not. So then, it gets back to the loop, right? It gets back to the junction. You turn left down Triple Falls Trail and you start your descent. This was the only time that I felt like I needed
your hiking pole.
my hiking pole. And that's just because the the decline is fairly steep and it is gravel. I mean, tons of people were making it without, so you don't need it. But I felt more comfortable with it.
We don't have a whole lot of experience with horseback riding, but if you were on a horse and going up this or down this, you'd have to adjust your body on that horse.
Oh, yeah, you'd be leaning back or forward,
right?
Depending on which way you go. Yeah, and so then you get back to the parking area. That's a good spot for you to go to the bathroom, grab a snack.
If you want to, you might change into a bathing suit and some water shoes.
Why would you do that, Donna?
Because the second hike is to Hooker Falls. Now, Hooker Falls is named Hooker Falls because it's the last name of the
Prostitute?
guy. No, stop. Bad. Hooker Falls is named Hooker Falls because...
Prostitute?
I forgot the name of the guy. Is it Raymond Hooker? I can't remember.
I don't know. It is named after a man named Hooker. Yeah.
His last name was Hooker.
It's Hooker, yeah.
Yes. He ran, in the 1800s, he ran a mill that was on that land. I didn't see any evidence of that mill, but...
Neither did I, but it could have been back in the...
Yeah. When you're hiking down to the Hooker Falls...
Now, that trail is also wide. It's also graveled. It very much is the same as the other one.
We saw people hiking out of that trail carrying big blow-up water things that you sit on.
Yeah, they carried, tubes.
Yeah, water tubes.
Yeah. Now, that trail's only half a mile long.
Yeah.
From the parking area to Hooker Falls. Now, Hooker Falls itself is a nice waterfall. It's very wide. Probably 100 feet wide, but it's only about 30 feet tall.
Right.
So you're thinking,
yeah. After
what's the
seeing
big deal because you just saw 4 falls. Why is this an impressive one? Why is it an impressive one?
Because you can swim under this waterfall safely. You can actually legit swim.
There is a huge pool.
Yes.
Right there. And the middle of it is quite deep, at least 10 feet. We got in the middle and we could not touch.
You got in the middle. I found out that when you swim near a waterfall, it's very hard to get close to the waterfall because
water's moving.
Yes, it is. You're swimming. Talk about swimming against the current. I think you would have to. I think the way you did it is that you swam down under the water to get closer. But I wasn't going to swim under the water. The water is actually really clean and pretty clear, but.
It's cold. It's very, very cold.
First of all, yeah, it's very, very cold.
Yeah.
But I did go under and got my hair wet and everything. I did that, but you didn't see it, but there was this huge fish. I don't know what it was, a bass?
Probably a trout.
Yeah. I don't know. And it was jumping, it just jumped into like the waterfall spray. I saw it, and I mean, that thing must have been as big as my arm. As long as my arm.
Wow. I mean, I can see it because that is a good sized river and it's deep where we were.
And I know,
there's room for fish.
I know that I think I would have been freaked out a little bit if I felt something in the water. Like
a trout's not going to hurt you. I mean, this isn't like Florida where you have to worry about gators.
Right. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I would be concerned or worried, but
yeah, anything. It's messing with you when you're in the water.
It's a new experience for me.
So we're going to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, it's a very popular area.
Yes.
There were lots of people there, but we still found room on the riverbanks. Now, there's no beach necessarily where you can set up. There are rocks. Many of them flat.
Big rocks.
Big boulders.
Yes.
And I would highly, highly recommend sturdy water shoes. And we're going to tell you about our favorite ones in our review this week. And they were perfect for this.
Yes.
Because when you're just getting to the water, you have to step on rocks, some of which are sharp, and certainly slippery. And then when you're in the water, it's mostly rocky.
Yes.
So having thick-soled water shoes, I think made the experience so much better for us. We did see a lot of people in bare feet. And they were doing okay, but
yeah, we saw young men climbing up on the rocks
right
The
at
what?
the waterfall. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if I would do that because I imagine those are probably pretty slick.
There were two young guys that somehow climbed up to
The
above the waterfall.
yes,
And this one guy was like right on the edge. And I was certain he was going to go over because
I
that water is moving. It'll drag you fast.
I told you to start videotaping and I took a few pictures just because I thought, well, some like the rescue workers are going to want to know how this happened.
Yeah. And me just saying, oh no, he was
Oh
just
my
being
goodness.
an idiot up there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so
I was so
dangerous.
scared for them, but what can you do? And they were kind of like, "Hi, mom, look, no hands," you know.
Yeah. Thankfully, they did
They-
not get hurt and they moved away,
Yeah.
thankfully. But that
They-
could have ended badly.
It could.
So listeners, don't do that.
Yes.
Don't get up on the top of the waterfall. Don't do it. It's not worth it because one tiny slip of the foot, that water will pull you down and throw you onto the rocks below.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if the rocks around that waterfall, the rocks you're sitting on, the rocks you're climbing on, getting into the water, all of that, I kind of wonder if all of that is less slippery because of how many people have been climbing over the rocks. They're kind of, people are maybe getting the slime off
Probably.
because it's so popular.
Yeah, probably. Now we got there at about, by the time we got to Hooker Falls, it was probably 11 o'clock on a Friday in the summer.
Which
and there
let
were
me-
probably 50 people.
Well, right.
Already
Like I
there?
said, some people were hiking out, so they were done.
Yeah.
with it. So I want to say I got a workout doing the Triple Falls hike, and I got hot and sweaty, and I got
Yeah.
not too bad, but still enough to where going to Hooker Falls and going swimming in that icy cold water was refreshing.
It was the perfect
And-
end to
yes.
that trail. The perfect end. And like you and I said yesterday, this is what makes the Blue Ridge area so spectacular.
Yeah.
You can do a hike with amazing waterfalls,
Mhm.
beautiful mountain vistas, and then swim in an ice cold, crystal clear mountain river.
Mm.
All in, I mean, if we speed runned this, we could have done all that in an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. But why would you do that?
I don't know. I'm just saying all of that you can do in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And we could have stayed longer at the water area there. And next time we may do this, we may bring some chairs.
Now
and
it
just chill out
did
there.
not cost anything to park there. It did not cost anything
Nope.
to go there.
Completely free. Yeah.
So-
Completely free.
Yeah.
So overall, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, I think this was a break a sweat trail just because of the grade,
Right.
just because of the incline.
Mhm.
Other than that, fairly easy.
We saw lots of older people. We saw lots of
Yeah.
people with little kids. And yes, I would say, on the easier side of break a sweat.
Yeah, and if you didn't climb on the rocks or go down on the steps, you'd still get an amazing view
Mhm.
of all 5 falls. But taking those down will add a little bit of difficulty, but in my opinion, will make it so much worth it.
Yes.
It's amazing. So this is a dumb question, given that we've already said it's by far our favorite
Yeah.
hike.
10 out of 10.
Would you recommend this?
100%.
A billion %. As a matter of fact, this will be what I tell people is the first thing they should do when they're up here in this area.
Yes. Carrick Creek Loop in Table Rock State Park was the thing that we have brought people to in the past, but
This blows that out of the water tenfold.
Yes.
Yeah. I was blown away at how amazing this whole trail, the whole experience was.
Right.
Yeah. All right, good. So now we're going to talk about normally Donna's fun facts are fun. This one is a little less fun. It's more serious, but we felt it was appropriate given that this is the 80th anniversary of the invasion at Normandy
Right.
for D-Day. So Donna, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay. So today's fun fact, Roy, is all about the Bedford Boys because D-Day was June 6, 1944. So on June 6th, 19, no, not 19, 2024. We just had our 80th anniversary.
8th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah. 80 years. And there was TV coverage
Yes.
out the wazoo of the ceremonies. And man, I try to watch it, a little bit of it every year. And the number of D-Day survivors it was only a handful this year that were there.
Because you got to imagine if it's the 80 year.
If it's 80 years, they're like 100 years old now, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this town in Virginia. And the reason, I mean, we did our hike in North Carolina, but the reason that my heart went to Bedford, Virginia was because last October when we drove the Blue Ridge Parkway and you had we
had the guide along, which we reviewed in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the guide along, when we were passing by Bedford, Virginia, it was talking about, that's how I found out about the Bedford Boys originally. So Bedford, Virginia, back at the beginning of World War II, the population was 3,200 people. It was a small farming community just south of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
That is a tiny town.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of small. It's a farming community, yeah. Sure. So they're kind of located between Lynchburg to the east and Roanoke to the west.
Beautiful part of part of Virginia, gorgeous area.
Yeah, I mean, it's near the Blue Ridge Parkway, so this town lost 20 soldiers on D-Day out of 38 people from that town, 38 guys from that town that went.
So they sent 38 boys to the war.
Yeah.
Out of 3,200, that's a huge percent of that community.
Yeah. I mean,
and 20 of them died in one day.
Yeah. So the devastation of losing that percentage of your community, young men,
Yeah. It's horrible.
I mean, because you're not just talking about, of course, you're talking about the parents and the brothers and sisters of these men who died.
Right.
But you're also talking about classmates.
Friends, grandparents, coworkers. Absolutely.
This was a tight-knit.
Touched everybody in that community.
Close community. Yeah. So this was actually the highest loss per capita from D-Day.
In the U.S.
Yes. That is known as of right now. So, but yeah.
And they have a memorial there, right?
They do. Yeah. So this town was still suffering the effects of the Great Depression. The Great Depression went on from 1929 to 1941. I had to look that up. I didn't realize.
I knew it was 1929. I didn't think it lasted that long.
It lasted until 1941. And I'm guessing that these small communities, these farming communities, they didn't probably have a whole lot of wealth there anyway to start with.
Right. A lot of during that time, you could join the reserves.
Yes. And that's how I found this out, is because there's an article that I read from stripes.com called "It's Personal. The Virginia town of Bedford still remembers 20 men lost on D-Day." And in that article, a woman, Sheila Pfizer Maxfield Sweet, she was one of 7 children, and she remembers her older brother. She really just remembers him holding her in her father's car when she was only about 2.5. There's a picture that she has.
That's sweet.
Because, I mean, I think he was significantly older than her. She was one of 7 children.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 10 years, however old. Yeah.
Right. So some of these men from Bedford, they probably joined up to the reserves, at least in part, because it was a paying job.
Yeah. I think they got $1 a month. Right?
Yes.
Just to be in the reserves, which back then, during the Depression, was a good wage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she said. She said her brother, Charles Pfizer, was the second oldest. She said that her brother was compelled to join the National Guard in about 1940. She said that men who joined the National Guard received $1. But I didn't know what $1 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom was born in 1941. And I sometimes don't think about what the world was like back then when she was born. I know that the year she was born was the year that Pearl Harbor was bombed, but I never thought about how tough things must have been financially.
Brutal across the country.
Yeah. So, wow. I know this is not really a fun.
It's not a fun fact.
It's a heavy,
but it's important.
Fact. Yes,
it's important.
Yeah. So, Sheila, she said that these boys did it to get a little money because times were hard. They probably hadn't. She said they probably hadn't picked up a gun or a rifle until they joined the Guard.
Wow.
Yeah. So that
Probably. So at the time, Europe was having some unrest, but there was not much strife here in the United States. So they probably figured, I'll do this, never really be in danger. I'll just go one weekend a month or whatever and make some extra money.
Yeah. I'm sure they didn't know what they were getting into.
You couldn't have. How could you have?
Yeah. You couldn't. So, I mean, and that's not to take away from what these young men did. I mean, joining the military to defend the country, I'm sure they were patriotic too.
Oh, I would think so. Sure. Yeah.
So, but that generation, the parents and families of these soldiers who died, that generation didn't really talk about their feelings openly. So in this article that I read, the sister of, her brother died on D-Day.
Yeah.
And she said her mother never really talked to her about her brother's death.
Really?
But she had a son, and her mother would talk to her grandson, so I think
would talk to her about her uncle.
So Sheila's mom wouldn't talk to Sheila about her brother's the feelings surrounding the loss of
her son,
Sheila's brother. Right. But like, I think later in her years, I think maybe time, I don't know if it heals wounds, but
makes them less painful.
So, and maybe also Sheila's mom would talk to Sheila's son about little tidbits of information that she had, because Sheila's son wouldn't have actual memories of the young man who died. So it was more just talking about it and not having to deal with a mom's feelings about the loss and a sister's feelings about the loss.
Sure.
So
you got a little bit of separation there.
Yeah. So, but Sheila benefited from that because her son
she didn't know her brother at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And her son would then say, "Oh, grandma said this or grandma said that." And so that's how Sheila kind of got some information. But yeah, so it's really hard to discuss some things sometimes.
It is.
And yeah, so, but this whole town was hit so hard with this loss. Some families lost 2 young men.
Ugh, brutal.
So there's this man, John, I don't want to mess up his last name, but I think Bogges, Boggess. He lost 2 uncles, Staff Sergeant Raymond and Private Bedford Hoback. He said that parents wanted to know what they wanted to know if their loved ones suffered. So they were just looking for survivors who maybe were next to their loved one when they died.
I don't think you do want to know that. I don't think I'd want to know that.
I only want to know it if they didn't suffer. That's what
I mean, the only right answer to that is they didn't suffer.
Yes.
Whether they did or not,
right.
That's the only right answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So some information was found out way later. And so, yeah, they found out, I guess they did more studying about how these men died way later in years. So his 2 uncles that died, they didn't find out. It looks like they both didn't suffer and died immediately, but that information wasn't available until after the parents died.
Oh, okay.
So, but he said, Mr. Bogges said that if his grandparents could have known that, it would have comforted them. It was like based on another soldier's account.
Sure.
You know, they think that a mortar fell at the feet of Raymond and killed him instantly. And yeah, so Bedford is home to the National D-Day Memorial to honor the more than 2,500 Americans and 1,900 Allied forces who were killed on the beaches of Normandy that day. There's a statue called the Homage that has an area to itself. It was unveiled for the 70th anniversary, which was in 2014, honoring the 20 Bedford Boys who died on D-Day. It also honors other soldiers who were wounded, killed in action later, and those who served in the Normandy campaign. But yeah, we can put some of these pictures that I just...
Yeah, you can see the pictures on the National D-Day's website. That kind of looks like Andy Griffith.
Oh, it does. I didn't...
Yeah.
At the memorial, there's a fallen soldier on the beach with a Bible beside him, and this is intended to depict Raymond Hoback. He was 24 years old when he died. So Yeah, there's a picture of a fallen soldier on the beach with
Oh,
a Bible. Well,
trying to drag
that's
his
the one.
buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that one behind it.
There's a Bible. I want to go see this memorial. It's just incredible. There's a
Oh,
whole
there's a pool,
a
like they're
reflection
coming out.
pool. Yeah.
Yeah, with oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really put a lot into this memorial. I cannot imagine going and seeing this memorial and feeling nothing about what happened.
I wouldn't think so. Now, you, Donna, you know this, and my family obviously knows this, but some listeners might not know this. I served in the Navy for 10 years, and I joined when I was very young. I was 19 when I joined. I cannot imagine. And, they threw me right into, I was on a ship fighting fires at 19, not prepared. You went through boot camp and, advanced training and all that stuff. But, there's no preparation. I can't imagine being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who's used to plowing a field in Bedford, Virginia, being told, hey, jump off this boat into waist deep water and storm that beach with all of the stuff that's going on around it, all of the mortar fire, the constant machine gun fire, planes dropping bombs. I mean, it's just brutal, brutal. The courage that these men had is impressive.
It is.
Regardless of how you feel about wars and the government's involvement, whether or not it's legitimate, none of that really matters. It's that when these boys were told to do something, they went and did it. And yeah, it was a tremendous toll, but that campaign, taking the beach of Normandy, saved hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of lives, because it was the first nail in the coffin of Germany's Third Reich.
Yeah, and I like learning about the people, their personalities, what they were like when, so this guy's other uncle, Bedford, he was 30. So Raymond was 24 when he died. Bedford was 30. Bedford was the one who always got into tussles, quote unquote, even in the army. He joined in the 1930s and re-enlisted when his younger brother Raymond joined the National Guard. Bedford's rank changed a few times. He was not a rule follower.
Uh-oh.
That's what...
So it went up and down, I'm guessing. Okay.
And then Raymond was the quiet, studious one. Okay. Bedford is buried in Normandy, but Raymond's body was never recovered. Yeah. And that's
hard.
Yeah. I can't imagine, we have a number of kids, and I can't imagine anything happening to any one of our kids, let alone,
And we had 3 serve.
Yeah.
One of my sons is currently in the Navy. One served in the Navy, and
one of my sons,
my oldest stepson, your oldest son, served in the Army.
Yes.
So we know what service is like.
Yeah.
And
thankfully,
every single one of them is perfectly safe.
Now, there was some conversation some years back after Joe got out of the Army.
He was sent to the Middle East.
Right.
Yep.
And wise enough, I guess, not to let his mom know when he was in danger. Because after, I think it was a couple years after he got out, you and he were having a conversation in the living room. I was sitting there and I heard him talking to you about when he was behind enemy lines. And you were watching my face because you knew I didn't know. And you were like, okay, Donna's going to have a meltdown at 3, 2, 1. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, he made it out perfectly safe.
He made it out.
There was no problems there. But yeah, that's scary. That's scary. And, imagine these mothers, right? In Bedford, one by one getting these horrible letters. Right?
So there's this couple that are not from Bedford, but they learned about the Bedford Boys and they moved there 5 years ago. Ken and Linda Parker opened up it's called the Tribute Center. They opened it up in an old drugstore to honor the soldiers of Company A. That store is where the telegrams came on July 17th, 1944. That's when they were informed about the casualties from D-Day. So we're right now in what is today, June 9th. we're right now in the in-between. Like, I think people must have known that D-Day happened, knew that their soldier was or might have been there. They didn't get the news that their soldier lived or didn't live until
For
July
10 days.
17th. July 17th.
Yeah. Oh, July 17th.
Yeah.
So 45 days about.
Yeah, that must have been hell.
Hardest 45 days of your life.
Well, and then another set of hard days after you find out that you're,
Yeah.
you know,
But still not
missing
knowing,
or-
right?
Yeah.
Because you're not getting letters. Letters back then, there was no email back then. So
Yeah.
letters were coming very sporadically.
Yeah.
Brutal. And of course, they were seeing on the news during that time the devastation
Mhm.
that happened. So you had no idea,
Yeah.
right? You're just sitting at home praying that you get a letter from your son.
Oh my gosh, I can't. My heart hurts. Yeah. There's a book written by Alex Kershaw called The Bedford Boys. It was published in 2001. But family members say that the Bedford Boys Tribute Center is a place that's allowed for more learning to be
Okay.
shared. Because this tribute center, it's in Bedford, and it allowed for the nieces and nephews. There's a lot of nieces and nephews of these guys that died.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
That, you know, they have the stories, they have the family stories about the personalities of these people and what they were like. And, you know, was this person studious? Was this person a rule follower? Was this person funny? Was this person, you know, I think there's some value in that.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, they're getting up in age too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this definitely wasn't a fun fact, but an important one
Yes.
to remember on this 80th anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's on my list of places to go.
Places to go?
The
Okay.
population of Bedford right now is only 6,500.
Oh, well, it's doubled since 1941. Is that good, I guess?
Yeah. But I think with it being a small town, I think that it'd be hard to miss all the Bedford Boys stuff in Bedford.
I would think that they would
Virginia.
honor that for a long, long time.
I
Yeah.
think it's probably center, you know, of like there's a lot of like there's flags of
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know. Memorial.
Yeah, what a tremendous sacrifice for that community and all the families there. So, thank you for that story, Donna.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of a bummer, but
I mean,
but it's important. It's
yes. It's just because of, you know, the anniversary of that event.
important. Yeah. Well, so now let's try to brighten the mood a little bit by talking about our favorite hiking water sandal, the Eddie Bauer Laketrail water sandals.
Mm-hmm.
So today's product review, Donna, is the Eddie Bauer Laketrail water sandal, which you and I have owned for quite a while now. But
Yeah.
they have a new model out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you can get these at Sam's Club, and they're only $25, which is an amazing price for these very, very well-made
Eddie
water
Bauer
sandals.
water hiking sandals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So the new model that came out that we just saw this like yesterday
Yes.
at Sam's has a Velcro strap on the back, which is
Really nice.
a wonderful addition.
Yes.
to it.
Because when your feet are wet from water shoes and whether you're getting them on or taking them off, either way, having that Velcro strap around the ankle, being able to back your foot out or put your foot in through
Yeah.
the ankle part, that way you can kind of tighten it down to where you want it to be and then just slide it in and secure it around the ankle.
Exactly.
It's a really nice upgrade. I wasn't going to get the newer model this year because our other ones
Are working just fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash our other ones and dry them and then just have them on hand for visitors.
Yeah.
If they happen to be the same size foot as ours, or maybe donate them. I'm not sure. But
I think what makes these particularly good for hiking, and I honestly think that you could use these as hiking shoes
oh yeah.
if you needed to.
We did. We hiked to Hooker Falls.
Yeah, we hiked to Hooker Falls with
in
them.
them.
They have good tread and a solid sole. Like
Yes.
most water shoes are going to have a real flimsy sole.
Right.
These do not. They have a solid
They
rubber
have
sole.
a hiking bottom sole to them.
I agree.
And that's good for if you step on roots and rocks.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Or if you step on slick rocks in the water.
Yeah. So you and I, like we said, we wore them on the hike from the parking area to Hooker Falls, which is very rocky, and not a single issue.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have any trouble with footing or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was fantastic. It was really good shoes. And again, I'm
Oh,
going to
wait,
say this:
I-
we're not paid
right.
to endorse this. These are just products that we have personally owned and really enjoy.
Right. I do want to say to any of our female listeners out there, these are men's Eddie Bauer hiking water sandals. They're not pretty necessarily, and they are men's sizes, so they might be a little bit wide. We get some, what are they called? Neoprene, like, what are they called?
Water socks.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're kind of what you would wear if you were snorkeling. If you were they're the kind of socks that you put on when you're going to be wearing fins
They have
in
a
the
very
water.
flimsy bottom,
Right.
and they go up.
They're meant
up
to
the
be
ankle. Yeah.
Now, in reading about those, I mean, we just get them on Amazon. Well, I don't know what brand or anything, but you can, if you have a narrow foot and you're interested in these Eddie Bauer men's water hiking sandals, but they're too wide for you, get one of those pairs of neoprene socks and try that with them. That will also keep your foot warmer in the icy cold waters if you're swimming under a icy cold water waterfall.
and it'll also keep you from getting mud in your feet.
Yeah.
Because sometimes these are muddy trails, right?
Sure.
Sometimes the trail's muddy, and sometimes you get, in these streams and lakes, there's muck.
Yeah.
So it'll
I mean, a lot of people that hike don't mind stuff like that, but
Yeah, I'd prefer to keep the mud out of my toes
Yeah.
if I could. Yeah. So like Donna said, these are men's. They're not pretty in the traditional feminine sense, but I think they're sharp looking hiking sandals.
Yeah, I would classify them almost like Keen's looking water.
They're rugged looking.
Yeah.
And they added different colors this year.
Right.
The new models.
They called the color that you got, they called that gray, but it's really more of a dusty blue to me.
Yeah, it's like a deep blue.
Yeah.
They called that gray.
They called that gray.
But there is gray ones.
I think those are, because when I looked online, the 3 colors they offer are, I believe it was khaki, black, and gray. There was no blue.
That's so weird.
So the gray ones are really kind of a pretty blue.
Yeah, I like the ones I got. I have yet to wear the new model, but I've been wearing their previous model for a year now.
Right. We wore the previous model the other day when we were hiking.
Yeah.
And they work really well.
They're fantastic. Yeah. So if you want to link to them, if you go to the Trail Photos, episode 20, scroll down to the very bottom. It's the very bottom photo. You'll see a picture of the hiking sandals underwater of both mine and Donna's.
Yes.
We took a picture while we were in the water at Hooker Falls. So there's a picture there. $25 at Sam's Club. It's a great deal.
Yes.
For these. A great deal. Normally they sell for $40. If you try to buy them on Amazon, they'll be like $40. So if you have a Sam's Club membership
or more,
it's worth it. And I mean, heck, I would probably pay $40 for these too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the show this week, guys. The Triple Falls, High Falls, and Hooker Falls trail route. I don't even want to call it a loop because it's a loop with many spurs. Hands down, no questions asked, favorite trail that we've done to date. And even ones that we've done that we haven't covered in podcasts. By far my favorite.
Yeah.
We also... Donna had I'm not going to call it a fun fact. Donna had
informational.
Donna had a segment on the Bedford Boys, the 20 American soldiers who gave their lives in the Normandy invasion of D-Day. All came from this one tiny community in Bedford, Virginia. Tremendous sacrifice that community made.
Right. I didn't even mention that 38 went and 20 passed.
On that day, yeah.
Yeah, so the ones that came back, some of them had a lot of survivor's guilt. I never even
How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not? Sure, if, you just happened to be one of the ones who came back when so many of your friends did not. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But then we brightened it up a little bit by talking about Eddie Bauer Laketrail Water Sandal. Great product. I love it. We're going to, we'll wear them until we wear them out, and then we're going to get a new pair.
Yeah.
Because they're so great. So why don't you take us out, Donna?
Okay. I just wanted to thank everyone for listening, and please subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use, and be sure to leave us a review. That's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.podbean.com. And if you have a question, a comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com. So we hopefully will, see people out on the trail.
I hope to see people out on the trail.
we-
And Donna, I'm thinking about putting my water shoes on and going back to Hooker Falls right now.
Oh my goodness. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay. We'll see you out on the trails, guys.
See.